Welcome to the Operate Intelligently podcast, the podcast for all things operations. Greetings, we're coming to you on the final day of Dude University 2019, and joining me now is Bobbi Antonucci, Systems Analyst with Horry County Schools. Bobbi, welcome to the podcast.
Well, thank you very much.
So tell us a little bit about what you do in your role.
I'm basically the technology person for facilities.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm responsible for administering all of the Dude products that we have, plus helping all the technicians with their iPads and their technology, etc. Plus, I have a background in data science, so a big piece of what I do is the analysis of the data afterwards and how well we're performing, how we're performing against other similar school systems, helping make the case that we need more people, we need more budget, whatever that story is that we need to make.
And so we were talking a little bit earlier, and you had a great story that I kind of want to dig into around, a natural disaster and how that kind of brought you to new technology. So could you kind of tell me basically the story behind what happened after Hurricane Matthew a few years ago?
In Hurricane Matthew, we lost part of a roof, and we did not have drones at that time. So we had to put a person on a roof not knowing how safe that roof was. And when we did that, we're never doing this again.
Yeah.
This is just not a good thing to do. So we went out and we looked at drones and what they could do for us. And we use DJI brand drones. They make 80% of the drones, commercial drones in the world.
Okay.
A lot for cinematography, all kinds of things, but they have some very affordable drones. And so we purchased one of those, and it took a while for us to start using it because of certain things. And now we can, if we have the same situation, go up, put a drone up there, get visualization of what's there before we ever put anybody in any safety danger.
Yeah.
And that was so important to us, is to not put somebody on an unstable roof.
Yeah, I can imagine after a storm like that coming through, you can sometimes see there's possibly water coming through, so there's some damage. But yeah, getting up on a roof like that afterwards, that's risky business right there.
And we didn't know if there was any electrical openings. We didn't know.
Yeah. So, in talking, you also brought an interesting point, about finding something that's affordable. So could you tell me a little bit about how you were able to acquire this first drone, stay within your guidelines and such, and then kind of how that helped make a case for using more drones?
The beauty of the DJI comes in a lot of different ranges. And the first one we bought was a Phantom 4. It cost $1,475. And our procurement limit on our credit cards was $1,500. So we were able to buy that on a credit card. We didn't have to go to PO. We didn't have to go to requisition, any of that kind of stuff. We could just get it as a tool.
Yeah.
There are plenty of tools that are in that range, and we were able to get it in. Now DJI has the Mavic 2 range that you're down in the $800, maybe $900 range.
Yeah.
So for many, many school systems, that is totally affordable to get you started. You can go up to there. You can spend $25,000 on a drone if you want to.
Yeah, but that's quite an investment.
It is.
Yeah.
And these film in 4K or high def. I film in high def because I don't have a computer that can render 4K.
Yeah. And high def's pretty good, too.
You can see everything that you want to see.
Yeah.
So we were able to get into it. Now, you do have to have licensing.
Yes.
From the FAA.
And that was the other thing I was going to ask you. After we spoke a little bit earlier, I did look up the South Carolina regulatory on drones, and there's an FAA regulation that you have to abide by.
Yes.
Because I believe it also applies to police, firemen, any public employee.
Yes.
Is that correct?
The FAA regulates drones across the whole United States. And you can get information on FAA.gov. If you are droning and getting paid or compensated in any form, so it's part of your job, you have a web page and you're collecting ad money. You're a real estate agent and you're selling properties Then it's considered commercial, and you have to have a commercial drone license. And they have all the information out there, what it takes. It's basically a portion of ground school. You have to understand airport regulations, controlled airspace, weather. That was the one that was hard for me to understand. And it's $150 to take the test.
Okay.
And then every 2 years you have to renew.
Okay.
So it really wasn't that hard.
Yeah.
And there are plenty of companies that will train you on it, that you can take the classes, anywhere from a couple of $100 for an online course to $1,500, $3,000 for an in-person class. You take those, you study, you pass the test, and you get an actual license. It looks like your state
Like a
driver's
license,
license. And that enables you to do it and get paid for it. Even if it's part of your job, you're still getting paid to be there.
Yes, yeah. So your salary, your compensation is... so that's an interesting fact, because when you first were saying more on the commercial side, I was wondering if you still had to do it as a public employee, but that does make sense. And I think it's also good because then you're able to ramp up your knowledge and fast track it on, okay, we're going to use this. How do we use it properly? How do we, not cause a problem or destroy this expensive piece of equipment or whatever it is? So I think much like a driver's license, it's making sure everybody has that common knowledge and best practices.
And there are rules, like you always have to have visual control of the drone. You can't fly over people. You're not supposed to fly at night. And there are no fly zones. And that teaches you all of that to be able to stay within those regulations, which are all about not running into an airplane.
Yeah.
Really, that's what the training is about, is how do you not interfere with air traffic that have people involved.
Definitely. And I mean, we've seen that on the national news when we've had, I believe, up at JFK Airport about 3 months ago, a couple drones flying up there. I mean, the FAA is going to really perk up when they see that. And, it's definitely a huge risk to an airplane if one of those things gets into an engine or something.
Correct. Even Farmers Insurance does an ad on TV about a drone hitting a car.
I do remember that. That's the CNET covered it one. I love those ads. So now you've been able to acquire the drone. You're able to get up there and look at the roofs. And I think what's interesting about that is now you've got a whole new set of data. And I wonder if you could tell me a little bit about how you're dealing with this new data that you're getting from the drone.
I'm still working on how I'm categorizing it. Right now it's by school and by date. So I'll have multiple pieces. But this generates big data. Yeah. The files are big.
High-res photos, high-res video.
Right. Yeah. And so I'm working on how am I going to categorize it and how much am I going to keep for the long term.
Yeah.
I do want to be able to see what did the school look like 5 years ago in 5 years.
Yeah.
But I don't need every piece of footage that I took. So I'm still working through what am I going to want to keep, what am I not want to keep. I'm probably going to keep all the still photos.
Yes, yeah.
But edit and filter down the video to some core pieces of what I need to be able to show. We also have used the drone for traffic analysis at schools.
Okay.
And so what I did with that video is it's 40 minutes of cars driving around a circle.
Yeah. Coming and dropping off the kids.
Most boring thing that you can imagine.
Carpool. I've been there myself, yeah.
So for playback, I sped it up to like 10 times as fast as it goes.
Yeah.
And so I've got to look at those kind of things of keeping those on some kind of a basis.
Yeah, and seeing if there's a different visual pattern that you might recognize.
Right.
That's really cool.
Right. And those schools we were analyzing because we needed to do more loop roads around the school to fit the traffic.
Yeah.
And be able to show before and afters, all that beautiful kind of stuff.
So on something like that where you're building a loop road, for instance, that would also help you because I'm assuming you might have to work with the city government on that. So you're able to kind of maybe fast track their traffic analysis that they might do the traditional way. Someone sitting out there counting cars and be like, here it is right here. I've got 3 months and here's the trend I see.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we can do that because the issue is in Horry County, 60% of the students are driven to school.
Yeah.
That wasn't what happened when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Is get on the bus.
Get on the bus or walk.
So the line of cars goes out onto the main road.
Yeah. And
Well,
that
we've gotta
affects
get them-
everybody getting to work and safety
Right.
and a lot
And
of
we
stuff.
got to get them off that main road. So to be
Yeah.
able to show the public we improved it, to be able to show our board what the traffic looks like, so we really need the funding. All those kind of things really helps do
Well,
that.
And that's so much cheaper than usually having to hire sometimes a civil engineering firm maybe to do the study, which I know is good because you get a third party. But it's going to cost more. It's going to take more time, and you're now able to take this tool and deploy it in a way. It's like a secondary use. I think that's fantastic. I mean, that shows even more kind of return on your investment.
And it sells the board. I
Yeah.
mean, they're not at the schools. They're not seeing this
Exactly.
all the time.
You can visually demonstrate the challenge, and here's my solution.
Exactly.
Yeah, that is so neat. So I want to thank Bobbi for coming on and sharing some really awesome information about drones. I think next year we're going to maybe want to have a chat again and see how much more you've kind of gone down the road on this.
That would be wonderful. We're hoping to add infrared to doing our roofs.
Okay, I already know what we're talking about next now. So. Thank you for listening to the Operate Intelligently podcast, produced by Dude Solutions. You can reach us by emailing dspodcast@dudesolutions.com or check us out on the web at dudesolutions.com.